Hello, Lynn Brown here. Brown's Custom Black Mesa Tree and Saddle, projector pad, corrector pad, and all the other goodies we offer. The saddle I want to show you now is the pocket. The pocket is built off the English Western bar. It's actually English. I put a little more foot on it for the Western. The cantle, the rear end, and the rest of the bar is all English. English being the old Richardson saddle from the very early colonial days, the most comfortable saddles you could buy, saddles ridden, continually by the early pioneers of this country. And it was an English saddle per se, but made with a full bar. It allows you to put shape into the seat, into the bar, and for the horse that you couldn't do with the old simple English tree that was thin laminated veneer and had iron reinforcement to hold it together, where the bars are virtually straight off of the little bend in the fork. So it's a simple U that's turned outward in most English saddles. In this bar is also in our Patriot saddle. It's in the Cowboy Dressage saddle. In other words, this is one comfortable bar, both for the horse and for the rider. This gullet is 6 inches. It can be confusing as to the width of the fork, as to the gullet measurement. When a fork comes out further, the measurement, because it's thicker this way, the measurement gets wider on the tree, although nothing has changed. When you measure across between the bars on this tree, it's 5 inches, 4 3/4 to be exact. But that gives you the same basic width that runs between that and 5 on almost all my trees. That's the real width right there. The fork can then change things as to the front to rear, because all bars move outward in the front. Further out your fork goes, the wider the gullet is. So we're not so concerned about gullet width, but this is the pocket tree. We're concerned about angle. The angle is one with a lot of twist to the bar. That twist starts right here as that bar turns upward here. Out and front is the objective. It leaves you with a narrow waist for the rider, which I can stretch my fingers all the way across. And it leaves you with contact right here to the horse. It leaves you full contact all through here, and you have no pinch right here. It's getting down on the horse. We don't have a lot of room here. And this is one fallacy I'd like to clarify, and that is, there is no set measurement that is proper above the withers to the bottom of the gullet, as it is right here. Gullet measurement on a tree is taken from here to here on the inside. It's not down in here somewhere. But how much room we have here? As John Lyons said once, when I was setting trees on zip for the first time, tree he liked the best only had about a 1/4 inch of space here to here, bare tree on the horse. Of course, when you're finished and you put the leather underneath and so on the skirts, it had more than a 1/4 inch. But I told John, I said, John, this tree's awful close to this horse's withers, and he didn't have much withers. And John looked at me and he said, well, what's it got? I said, well, with weight in it only has 1/4 inch. John looked at me and said, well, 1/4 inch or 1/4 mile? It's all air, isn't it? Have to stop and think a minute, don't you? So this 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 1.5 inch that they tell you in a magazine article is put in the magazine article by somebody who is guessing and does not know. They don't have any idea what they're talking about. Most of the saddle fit information you get, all the way from the veterinarian Joyce Harmon to whoever, is much of it fabricated. They haven't spent that many miles on a horse. They haven't made saddles, and they haven't taken care of thousands and thousands of horse people with the saddle, with different horses over the years. So the best they can do is put it together and give good logical guess. This is what I try to accomplish in every tree I make. And the seat is close to the horse. It has a flat spot, as all of our seats do, right here. A gentle curve upward. It never comes forward and jumps up. Anytime a seat goes up like that, that part hits you right in the crotch and it's terribly uncomfortable. That's what I learned a long time ago. The pocket itself, I can show you this better on the tree, and I'm showing you more about the tree than I am the saddle, but this is the saddle, folks. This curved fork. I've got a horn that's the DM8. It's one that I shaped myself. I can lean it further forward than this. It's spoon-shaped. You get a hold of it with your hand like a pistol grip. We try to lean it forward enough so that it's out of the way of the rider. But if you start looking at where the rider is, here's the thigh roll right here, the cutout in the swells for the thigh. We run the seat padding and leather right up through here, so that places you another 3/8 of an inch back, a little further. So you're away from the horn some. The horn is forward. You should be able then to get a hold of it, have some strength to hold on to it, and not have it sticking right in your tummy. That's the reason for curving the fork, putting the thigh cutouts right here. And this is a small seat, but it gives you the ability to ride without the horn just running into you. When you get forward and you're running hard and fast, you don't have a sharp just post of a horn sticking up. It leans forward. You can almost lay against it and hopefully not catch your bra, etc., etc., when you barrel race. If I measure the seat here, it gets confusing. It measures 14.5 right here. If I measure the seat right here, which is the way it was done for hundreds of years, it is a 10. Excuse me. In the middle of things, it's a 9.5. A 9.5 is 13.5 right here. Being says the 10 is 14, 11 is a 15, and so on. So by the time we get this made, and we get the foam padding in here, the leather underneath it, and so on, you're going to have a 13-inch saddle, basically, for the rider. But you're going to have a horn that's up here, out of your way, that you can get a hold of and get up over. That's the objective. Horns, we offer a lot of different horns. This is a 5P. If you want a little horn that's out of your way, you don't have a big hand, you grab the top of the horn, and the 5P is a good one. We do have other horns in between this and that. So, too much detail sometimes, but we will show you the pictures of the horns. The saddle itself turns out quite beautiful. It's nicely padded with 3/8 of an inch of neoprene. That neoprene is running right up into here, so it's all seat. When you slip down into this, you are slipping into a pocket. This is all through sewn through the base seat. The upholstery leather and the foam in between stops right at this edge to recess the seat jockey. The tooling you see here is the diamond cut. It looks very good on this saddle. You have an overlay right here and overlays right here. Saddle makers have one heck of a hard time figuring out how we make this saddle. They can't figure it out. It's not easy, folks. Your loops, which you can see right here, give you a free swinging stirrup strap that's recessed, and it doesn't sit there underneath the bar, creating a stirrup strap bump to bite into your horse to make him dorsiflex his back to keep him from reaching. The back on a horse comes up the most right here if this is sitting just back of the shoulder where it should be. That means every stride of the hind quarter, the back comes up an inch, 1.5 inches, 2 inches on some horses. And if they hit that stirrup strap bump and it hurts on both sides, they stop reaching because it hurts every time they do. protector pad fixes some of that in a regular saddle because you're going to add front balance shims to lift it back up. Gives you a little space here for stirrup strap bump. It doesn't fix it all. So your free swinging stirrup straps are unbelievably free. You don't get this in many saddles because they go up and over the bar of the tree and all of them. It's much cheaper than to polish out and cast your own loops, make your own stainless steel straps, bend them to fit the loop, and to go into a slot that you have to make in the tree to keep everything flush and close. A full channel down the slot, down the center, making a slot, is what I do on all the trees. You have a good channel here. For a mule, for any straight-backed horse with a bit of A-shaped back, this is an absolute necessity. The rigging is the 3-position, 3 slots, 2 layers of leather. This layer runs up and over the tree bar. As you can see, it's continual, one piece. It's sewn through to the skirt on the bottom right here. So this is all 2-piece and becomes one. There's a little layer of rawhide in between, and this is a forward enough rigging, if you look at it, to give you about a 7/8. If your saddle slides too far forward on a downhill young horse, the last loop that you make to the girth, after you've made a couple to the center, you come through here, down through the girth, buckle up good and tight. And on both sides, we always give you a latigo strap on both sides. We make these. This is a very expensive nylon webbing. It's 1 3/4 inches. It's got a little firmness to it. It's got a ton of strength. It does not just tear out, stretch out, and so on. It's an extremely good webbing that gives you a thin, even with a lot of loops going over this, a thin profile to where you don't have a bump for you, you don't have a bump for the horse. Any bump under that stirrup strap will make the horse uncomfortable, a lot of times even leave white hair the next year if you don't have a thick pad underneath it. But we don't want to catch the stirrup strap. We don't want you hitting a bump of a leather strap right here. That's why I make these. If the saddle slides too far back, keeps working back, you can go to the rear slot. These slots are angled to go right down to the girth so you can buckle up. And buckling up is a necessity. I only put a cinch knot on here to keep the strap together. Buckling lets you really tighten a girth. When you put the protector pad under this, it will shape to the horse. It's already molded to the basic shape of a horse, but it'll finish shaping to the horse when your weight hits the seat of the saddle. That means the girth loosens a little. That means tighten it good and tight on both sides before you get in. Tightening on one side is something that saves saddle makers $10-15 a saddle. They started this back in the 60s because they used their scrap. But too many of the rodeo people were throwing one saddle from horse to horse to horse. They used an off-billet or a half-breed as it's called. And they just cinched up on one side. That means you only tighten on one side. You're not tight on the off side. You get in the saddle. Saddle rolls this way. You tighten the off side. You loosen the near side. You jerk it back to center, and guess what? You're loose all the way around. This is what happened to saddling via saddle maker, saving that money for a quite expensive latigo strap on the off side, which was used for hundreds of years, by the way, still used by most buckaroo and a lot of custom saddle makers, so that you can tighten the off side. We give you a latigo hanger with a cinch slot in it right here too, for the off side of all of our saddles. And there's a little overlay on the bottom of the fender to keep the tip of the fender here from curling. You notice the strap goes through the fender. It goes through the fender on the top side too. It's thonged into place there. It's not going anywhere. I did this for 25 or 30 years. It gives you a strap that drops straight down from the mounting. And otherwise, your fender being offset, as most Western fenders are, the strap comes out of the front portion of the fender, which offsets from where it's mounted, which kicks your feet out and doesn't let you get up and over the center of balance on that strap of the fender, that's where it's hung from here. So it's hard to get forward and stay steady. I do this in my cowboy dressage. I do it in the pocket and a few other saddles like Perfect Weight. But makes for a saddle that's good for trail riding. It's good for barrel racing and pole bending. Fantastic. One of the top pole benders rode this and said, "Oh my God." And his dad makes saddles. And he said, Troy Purdy is his name, by the way. He said, "My gosh," and he had his dad look at it. He said, "This is the ideal saddle for pole bending." And what I was going to show you earlier, I didn't get to finish. This yoke, which is going up to the front of the saddle, is holding the front and rear of the saddle. There's really no reason for a flank billet here when we run right up here to hold everything down. You got one layer of skirting right here, which leaves you in good close contact with your horse through the thigh, and let you feel your horse, let him feel you. That's the pocket. Other than saying that it's only 20 pounds, I can't say too much more. We offer a pad with it. We can get fancy with the pad and have the tassels and the conchos and our leather overlays in the pad too. I don't have one left right now. It went out with the saddle. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed the basics of the pocket saddle and what we have to offer. Thank you. Lynn Brown.